All right, welcome to the wood shop. Starting a build here. I made my girlfriend a cutting board just a few days ago, and she showed it off to a bunch of friends, and they want one. Um, all I used on hers actually was some red oak and some hard maple. This one I have hard maple, red oak, and some poduck. I think I pronounced that right. Poduck. I don't know. I'm gonna do one strip of that down the middle. Um, so yeah, I got to cut this into some strips here, glue it up, plane it, all that. This is ridiculously heavy wood, but it's very rough cut. So yeah, we'll start with that. I'm hoping to make it 20 inches long, maybe 22. We'll see. I gotta measure it all out and see what I have, but we'll go from there. So stick around. Next step's going to be to break out the table saw and cut at least one strip off of this. I'd like it to be 1.5 inches thick. Actually, after I plane it, that'll put it down to 1 1/4. So we'll see. So the very first thing I did before even starting was I set my miter stop right at 20 inches. That's the length I want to make this, which will probably be like 19.5 by the time it's all said and done. That's the first step, and then I'll cut the maple and the oak to that, and then I actually have to straighten the poduck out on the table saw, but I'll do that before I cut that one down, just because it's really expensive. I don't want to waste any of that wood. And that right there is all of the scrap from that maple board, just that tiny little piece. Got 3 lengths of 20 inches, which will get ripped down to make 6. We'll stand them up. We'll get about 5.5 inches of cutting board out of that. But still have to do the oak, and then I'll worry about the poduck after. So the oaks and the maples are cut to length. Now I got to get out the table saw and rip strips off them. And I need to put a straight edge on this so I can rip a nice strip out of it. I'll probably just use a level to get that straight. Okay, so ran that through the table saw on both ends. This 40-tooth blade does not like this wood, by the way. Got a couple burn marks there. The planer will take those out, or they'll sand out. But this side came out pretty smooth. So yeah, now I just got to cut about 1.5 inch strip off of it, and then I'll cut it to length, and that'll be that. All right, so I ripped them all down on the table saw. Got a few burn marks there, but I'm not super concerned. Those will come out when I plane it. I haven't decided how I wanted to orient it yet. This is all oak. That's that paddock, and this is the maple. I'll probably do the outside ends in maple, and then just every other, something along those lines. Maybe I'll stick this off to a side or something to make it look cool. I don't know. I'll figure it out, and then I'll play around with a few combinations, and I'll get back to you guys in the video here. All right, so these are all oriented the way I want them. I started with maple, then oak, then I put that piece of paddock in there, and then I just finished the pattern, maple, oak, maple, oak, maple, oak, all the way to the end. So yeah, they're ready for glue up now. It's nice tight seams. One good thing about my table saw is I have that blade dialed in, so it cuts very straight. So what I'm gonna do is, before I glue, what I do is I take a couple scrap pieces of wood like this, just stickers or whatever, and I wrap some blue painter's tape on them, and I just lay them down, and then I glue them all together on that, and then clamp them up. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll spare you guys the time of watching me spread a bunch of glue, but yeah, I'll show you the end result. Before I start gluing these up, I just want to point out that I always use a waterproof glue. Cutting boards get washed. You need something waterproof. Today I'm using Type Bond 3. It's not actually my favorite, but it does work pretty well for cutting boards. I mean, 10,000 woodworkers can't be wrong, right? But it does work quite well. I sometimes use Gorilla Glue too. It's not the greatest. It's not bad, but it's not the greatest. But it would work. My favorite is actually Elmer's, but it holds the strongest, but it's really difficult to spread. So the Type Bond's probably the easiest for this. And this thing's a gift. I don't plan on doing anything with it other than finishing it and giving it away. I'm probably not even going to put feet on it. But all right, I'll glue that up, clamp it, and just kind of show you what we're working with. All right, we are all glued and clamped. Definitely some run out there. I tried wiping it off a little bit. I don't know if you can see, but the bottom has a good amount too. Yeah, so that's about it for the day. I got 4 clamps on there, pretty evenly spaced. So yeah, tomorrow I'll get the planer out, make sure it's good and level, run that through. Probably 2 or 3 passes on each side. So we're gonna lose probably close to 1/4 of an inch of thickness on this thing. But I think it's gonna look really nice when it's done. I'm curious to see how this centerpiece really pops once it's all finished. I finish these a little bit different than a lot of people do. I actually just buy a butcher block conditioner. It works really well. They sell it at like Lowe's. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow when I plane it. All right, it is the next morning. It's all glued up. I still have to plane it. I might try to scrape some of this glue down first. That's why I just use these. Just some scrap wood with some tape on it. It peels right off. It still lays flat on it. It was very easy. So yeah, I'll run it through the planer a few times, see what it looks like after. I'd imagine I'm gonna lose some of that thickness. Hopefully not too much. But we'll see. So far, so good. Pretty smooth surface. All right, I'll get the planer set up and get rolling. So I got this thing planed. I don't know what's up with my planer, but take a look at this. No matter which way I run it through, it does that. I checked it with a level. Both the out trays and the in tray are completely level going across, but as it comes out, you hear it just make that little hit. So hopefully I can sand that out. I don't know why the hell it's doing that though. I might try running it through one more time just to see what happens, but that's aggravating. We'll see what we can come up with though. So the next thing I have to do is just put a straight edge on it with my miter saw. I always put a little piece of wood on the back. That kind of just prevents it from splintering when it finishes. But yeah, that should be nice and tight, so I can just shave it right down. So I'll run that real quick and see how it comes out. All right, so that's what I took off of there. And that is the reason I put a piece on the end. See how the splinter out there? I still got a little on this, but I should be able to sand that out. But I just want to keep that to a minimum. But yeah, just a quick shave to put a straight line on it. I've got to do the other side real quick. All right, so now it's perfectly straight. That might be a bit of an issue. We'll try to figure something out with that through sanding, but yeah, we got some nice clean edges. This side, same thing. So yeah, now I gotta sand forever to try to get these marks out from my planer. Yeah, I gotta figure out why it's doing that. It did it on this side too. It's something in that one corner. I might just take it back. I got a 90-day guarantee on it, but look at that. This side's fine, but if you go over to this side of it, same thing. So yeah, we'll see if I can do something there. So I've got it all sanded to 80 grit. There are some issues here. Take a look at that. Not much I could do about that except maybe cut it out of there. And on this side, there's a slight imperfection in the wood right there. I don't know if the higher grits, the 120 or 120 and 220 might take that out, but it's there and I notice it. So I don't know, I may have to do another trim on this edge just to get that roughness out of there, but we'll see. So decided I'm just going to shave 1/8 of an inch off this to clean up that end. Might have to go a touch more, but that should do. I don't like that there. So we're going to give it a shot. So there's still a few little areas, but overall I should be able to sand those out pretty easily compared to what it was. I probably could have switched to a finer tooth blade too, but whatever, we'll go with that. So it's sanded to 120 grit. There's still a few imperfections, like that corner right there. I don't know if it'll focus on it, but you can kind of see that. Other than that, it's really not too bad. This is going to be the top, because this is the nicest side. This side still has that little imperfection in that oak board there. That won't be that bad. I may actually even put feet on this one just to ensure that this actually is the top. But we'll see. But it's smoothing out nice. A lot of the grains in the oak are starting to disappear too, so I think the 220 will smooth those out to the point that once I oil it, it won't really matter. Got all the burn marks off the sides. Looks good, looks real good. So yeah, I'll keep at it. All right, so I went ahead and made some legs for this. I just kind of cut these out of 45, leaving a little bit left. And I figure I'll screw them on the bottom. I do have some stainless wood screws. I'll glue them too. I'm gonna have to drill through that and recess it a little bit, but should work out. All right, so I've got my legs done. I do plan on running screws through them as well. These stainless screws, and I want to countersink them. That's why you see that hole's bigger there than it is there. I'm gonna glue these on first, Titebond 3 again. I'm just going to spread it on with a little brush because I don't want a lot of runoff on these. And then I'm actually going to set it on my table saw because I know that's a really flat surface. And I'll let it cure up on that because I don't want this thing to rock or anything afterwards. I drew some lines exactly 3 inches in. They'll go just on the outside of these. So you'll still have like 2 inches to grab on each side. So here goes nothing. All right, I got the first leg glued and screwed. The second one is glued on, but it needs a little more time to dry. I actually didn't use enough on that, so I had to add a little more. But then I can screw that down, and I'll just buzz over these with the sander real quick. And then one more water pop on it, and final 220, and then I can finish it. So I made a mistake. I went to put my screws in before that glue was fully dry, and yeah, it didn't hold. Big surprise. So now I got to try to scrape all that off and do this side over. Although that side is holding pretty well. All right, so I'm not taking any chances this time. I got 3 clamps on there, some fresh glue. I cleaned it all off. This one seems to be fine. I don't know what happened here. This one just seemed to tack up a lot quicker. Still got to clean it up a little down here. But that one's all screwed in tight, not going anywhere. So hopefully this one in a couple hours or so will harden up to the point that I can screw it in. Maybe I'll just leave the clamps on and screw it in. I don't know. We'll see. So to finish this thing, I use some butcher block conditioner. The bottom of it isn't quite ready for it yet. But I did manage to use some clamps, and then I was able to countersink those screws for the legs. I re-glued it. Obviously it's still a touch wet. But I'll go ahead and finish the top while that dries, and then I'll just do the bottom probably tomorrow. But just to show everybody what this stuff does, you just kind of plop a big glob of it on there. And you have to let this sit for at least an hour. Overnight is better with the first coat, and it takes 3 or 4 coats. Really, the more the better, but I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. All right, so first coat's on, and you want to just let that sit at least an hour, nice and thick. Let the wood absorb it. I hit the top, the 2 sides, and the ends. So yeah, we'll let that sit a little bit, soak right in, and now you can really see the different woods too. You got the maple, the oak, maple, oak, maple, oak, maple. You can definitely see that exotic wood. That looks really nice. So yeah, we'll do a couple coats.